I'm in favor of merit pay. I like the idea, I like the concept. Most of us that don't work in education, we do have some kind of evaluation system that tells us how good or bad we are, and we get salary adjustments based on that. I don't like what we've seen with the pay performance plan that's been put forward by the administration so far. And that is one of the big reasons why I decided that I want to put my hat in this ring, see what we can do. I think if we can recognize that it's one of those things like Chief Justice Potter Stewart said years ago, I know it when I see it, relating to one of those oddball cases. And so I think we have a similar thing with teaching. We know that we can find who, there's a common recognition of what some of our good teachers are. And you know you're going to have a lot of strong teachers. Pull together a team of these, so peer reviews is what I'm getting at with that. We can walk into a classroom, a good teacher or somebody who's got a lot of experience, and within a few minutes they can see this teacher has good time management skills. They have control of their class. They're doing a good job. They're staying on task. They're doing all these kinds of things. And I think over a few such peer reviews, so it wouldn't be just one person one time, but maybe 3 or 4, maybe a half a dozen, I don't know. That also has the inclusion of the principal or administration from that school, because they're ultimately in charge of that. Can sit in a class and watch and evaluate how well this class is going. And then we can come up, and we can even pull data from that. It's not all that difficult. As a side note, I do, my wife being a band director, I'm a music guy too. I've judged high school marching band competitions for the last number of years throughout the state. We have this rubric. We're assigning numbers to what we see. And these numbers, these ranges have this list or the rubric of, do they do this? Okay, that check, they do that, and all these other kinds of things. So there are ways that we can see things that don't involve bubble tests, that we can evaluate how good is this teacher doing. And I think we do have troubles if it's 1 or 2 teachers or a teacher and an administrator who are performing that evaluation. But if you spread that out over the course of a year, over the course of a semester, over a number of different teachers, then we can get, you know, you can take those outliers, you can knock those out, and you can get a pretty good data set. And you can get data off of that. And so now we can do those comparisons. And I think we can do those comparisons more valid by having this better data set with things. That's extraordinarily inefficient. I understand that. It's a heck of a lot more time that that principal doesn't already have, probably. I understand that. But to me, that seems to be the best way to go. And if that's the best way for us to go, why wouldn't we go for that? You know, I think we get caught up in standardized tests because they're easy. They're very simple to administer. They're inexpensive. They scale well. There's all these different things that they do because it's easy. Why does it have to be easy? Let's find what's best for assessing our teachers and assessing our students.
So do you think that teacher pay should be a bonus system, or a completely new pay scale where, you know, does longevity matter in this system? Do master's degrees matter? National boards matter? Or is it purely on performance? Or are you more interested in a sort of bonus merit pay system?
And another good follow-up. I think a combination of all that, and I think we have to have a lot more debate about that. Dr. Gorman cited last year that studies showed that the National Board certification of master's degree don't necessarily seem to indicate a more effective teacher. Okay, I can see that in some cases. I don't have a degree in IT. I have a degree in journalism. I think I'm a pretty good manager of IT. So I can see where he's coming from that perspective. My wife she got her master's. She went up to Vandercook College, which specializes solely in music education. And that's what she wanted. It was a challenging program. And she did that. I think she's a much better teacher because she went through that. I think it varies, and I think that's where our evaluations are going to come into play with that. One of the concerns my wife has with what she has been told, and this is what she tells me, so I can't say it's 100% perfect, is she would get ranked among all the middle school band directors. And if she fell 14th, she would get the 14th level of pay. If she fell first, she would get the top level of pay. And that could change year over year and all these other kinds of things. And that, you know, she's like, okay, I take every student who comes in. I take students who can't afford instruments, and I try to find them instruments. Other teachers may decide, sorry, you can't be in band. I'm only going to take the good ones, or the ones that I think can do this. And so she's like, I don't want to do that. So it's torn her up. So I think how we do that pay really has to be debated. And I think there's going to be a base level of pay. And I think if we look at the private sector and how these things go, that your evaluations may determine if you get fired, because if you're incompetent, then okay, you shouldn't be doing your job. So there's that. But then it's not necessarily going to say, oh, we got to cut your pay in half. That doesn't generally happen. Because if you're going to cut your pay in half, we're probably going to kick you out the door. So I think there's that base level of pay. I think experience does play a certain role, because we know that more experienced teachers tend to be better teachers because they've had all that experience. So I think there's this whole area of debate that we can get into and figure out a good course.